All right, so this is how to do a citation, citing your sources on Citation Machine. First of all, you're going to go to citationmachine.net and you're going to click on, I only want to create citations. You don't want to do a whole paper and blah, 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 which, by the way, I suggest you don't ever do. So you're going to click on, I only want to create citations, and then you're going to choose your form. There are several different forms. When you get beyond this class, you may have to do APA, which is the American Psychological Association form. None of them are very different from one another, just slightly. MLA is the Modern Language Association form. There's also Chicago, Turabian, and some other ones that are not very common. But what we're going to use is MLA. APA is fine, but MLA is what we're going to use for this particular class. They're not tremendously different. Now, the one thing that you're not going to do, which it defaults to, is use website. What that means is that you're saying that that website itself is a credible source, and that's not the case. You are looking at a journal being kind of like a magazine, but it's written for people that are in that particular field, and they submit articles, and other people in their field, other experts read those articles, so they darn well better be right. Newspapers, journalists have editors and have to make sure that everything that they're doing is correct and cited, or else they get fired, and lots of issues with that. A magazine, we're not talking about People magazine necessarily, but magazine reporters fall under the same criteria that newspaper reporters do. You can also use film, documentaries, different things like that. You could also use anything in this other category, such as an interview, a government website, all different kinds of stuff is in there. That is often the one that you're going to choose because it's got all these other ones in it, but then you can kind of look at what's there. So you do not choose website. You also do not choose this one, which is autofill mode. You always want to choose manual entry mode. This right here is where you are going to look at what they are requiring for that particular citation, and you're going to find it and put it in there. Now, that doesn't mean you have to type it in. You can copy paste it in there. That's fine. But you always want to do this one so that if there's ever a question about where did that piece of information come from, you know the answer. Autofill mode, I guarantee you will have mistakes, so don't do that. Okay, so you're always going to choose the manual entry mode. If you're using Google Scholar, Kentucky Virtual Library, PBS, any of those, they're often going to use a database name. This is one of them, and that's for the Kentucky Virtual Library. So when you go there, you might want to just choose that whatever it is that you're citing, an article, is coming from an online database. That is the best one, especially if you're using Kentucky Virtual Library or PBS, because then it asks you what that database name is, which is Kentucky Virtual Library, and then the service, which for KYVL is EBSCOhost. That gives you a lot of credibility right there. So that would be a super easy way to make sure that you've got credible stuff and for people to know that you've got credible stuff. So they're going to ask you for all kinds of things, and then you're going to click that you're finished. Once you fill in all of that and you put in the database and you fill in the author's name and the titles and the different things, then you're going to click that you're finished, and it's going to give you the whole citation, which you can then copy and paste. And it's also going to give you the in-text citation. In-text is super simple. It's what you're going to put in there when you're typing out whatever is coming from Wilson that you read on page 5, or Baker that you read on page 473, or that Madison and Smith put in their report on page 88. All of these are examples of in-text citation. Notice that it's just a last name and a number. Sometimes these days they want you to put in a year because, you know, the stuff that is the newer is better. So you wouldn't want to choose, you know, a 1973 article over a 2018 article. So if you had Wilson 1973 and Baker 2013, then you would definitely want to choose Baker 2013 or Madison and Smith 2018. That would be even better because it's newer.